So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Eazy Conversations. Thanks a lot to everyone who listened to the last episode featuring the homies Zach, Matt, and I. Zach, you absolutely killed it on here, and we look forward to having you on again down the road. So, now for episode 137 of Eazy Conversations, I'm extremely excited, of course, to be back in the studio virtually with the homie Matt. Say what's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a good day right now. Hope you're enjoying the warm days of summer and the storms. Really cool episode tonight. Just me and Eric's going to be really chill, laid back. Going to be, though, like list format, which is some of my favorite stuff. So, Eric, why don't you tell the listeners what we're going to be listing off today?
Yeah, lists are kind of our bread and butter over here at Eazy Conversations, and we figured why not throw another one in the mix halfway through the year. We're going to be doing kind of a compilation episode where we have spread out our top 10 movies, TV shows, and rap albums across separate episodes in the last few years. Something we have never done is a mid-year update on where things are at for us, what the rankings are after half of the year's content has been released. So we're going to compile those three together in this one episode. Just do top fives. And for me, they're kind of soft top fives. Some of them are like set in stone, but I anticipate once the year's done, more will be released. These lists will look completely different, and I'm honestly kind of banking on it. Because if these shows and movies are still on my top five, there's a Ricky Stenicki sized problem here in the content that we've gotten in 2024. So, without giving anything away, it's curious to see how our lists are going to look. I'm curious to see what your lists look like and just talk about what's been released so far this year. I'm open to start with whatever you want to do, Matt. I'll give you the pick of which top five you want to go through first. But I'll just say for movies and probably rap albums the most, it's been a bit weak to start, and I'm kind of hoping more truly great content comes out to really shake the lists up. And it honestly could kind of apply for TV too. So, how is first of all making your list, and then lists, and then you can decide which one you want to start off with, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good, Eric. It was hard for me to make because first half of the year is always the weaker half, especially in movies and TV shows. Music too. It was hard for me to make this top five because there's only a bit on all my three lists. There's only a couple that will probably make my top 10, but the rest, like I don't want them to make my top 10. So same thing as you, Eric. TV I felt has been the strongest. That's my strongest list out of the bunch. I've watched some really solid shows. Music was impossible to like pick a 5 or a 4 or 3, but anyways, I still got one. And movies, like I said, we get the summer blockbusters right now. We got all the Godzilla stuff out of the way, like the summer smash ups. But there's a couple movies that I know will be on my top 10. Unless like we get flooded with great Oscar movies. I'd like to start with music, if you don't mind, Eric. I'll go off with my number 5.
Yep, run it up.
Everybody Can't Go by Benny the Butcher. Really solid album. I've only spun it like I have an LP. I've only listened to it like 4 or 5 times, but I thought it was really solid. Great music for when I'm cutting the grass. You know, I don't have to pay attention too hard. I just enjoy the beats and the flow. And yeah, that's Benny the Butcher, Everybody Can't Go. I'm assuming you've listened to it, Eric?
Sorry, I'm just updating our picks as we go along on YouTube as well, so you can follow along there just for the visual. Of course, I've listened to it. This was one of the first albums that dropped this year that I was already anticipating going into the year because it was announced that it was dropping early January. And Benny the Butcher is someone who did not drop an album all of last year, so this was definitely an anticipated one, which to me as well did not disappoint. And funnily enough, it is also my number 5 album of 2024 so far. So I'm just gonna add that one again on the graphic. Not too much change so far. We'll see if we go 5 for 5 here. I don't think so, but we'll see. No, I thought it was a great album. The thing with it for me though is I don't find myself going back to it all that often and listening to it from start to finish. There's specific songs that I'll jump to that I like a lot. Like Big Dog, I'm still a big fan of. 1 Foot In with Stove God Cooks. There's a lot of hype stuff on there though. Like you said, Cutting the Grass, doing workouts. Like this is a great album for that. A lot of upbeat instrumentals, and it has that good, like I said, workout hype you up vibe. I don't know if this is gonna end up on the top 10 at the end of the year though. Like it's falling. Like it was my number one for a while when there wasn't that much out, but I had just snuck it in at number five as well. So there's maybe the replay value isn't all that there, but overall a solid album to listen to. And you know, on my next workout, I might throw it on. That's a good reminder. Do I just go number four, or do we want go back to you? How do you want to
Well,
do
we'll
this?
go back. I'll go number four,
Sounds
and then
good.
you do. We'll just go back and forth.
Okay.
My number four, I listened to this album today while I was outside all morning, and it's very solid. It's Out of the Blue by Blue,
Oh,
by
okay.
rapper Blue, and produced by Shafiq Hussein. Out of the Blue it's a longer album. That's why it's my number four, but it's got crazy beats and great lyrics. And like I said, I was outside all morning doing chores and stuff, and it felt like one long album, listening to one long song, basically. The songs flew one after another. So, really like the blues style, introduced by me by a Hip Hop Fiend 85, who does our end of the year list with us all the time, Brandon. Blue's a solid artist, and Out of the Blue was really enjoyable to listen to.
Holy smokes. Yeah, I'm like struggling to find this album on this website and on Apple Music. Like, how do you spell blue? Is it BLU?
Yeah.
Blue. Artist. Okay. Okay, so clearly I've never heard of this album. And I know the guy kind of by name, but I've never listened to. Oh, here we go. I got it. Okay, I love that. I love a surprise pick. This is like underground rap. I
Yeah.
think this guy had done an album with Madlib back in the day, but I don't think I actually checked it out. Okay, so this is definitely one for me to look at and check out. Okay, I mean, there's not much I can really say on this one, but I love seeing that pop up. And again, this is just funny how it shaked out because there's kind of a trend, a theme here because my number four album is actually Blue Lips by Schoolboy Q. So there's some good symmetry here with all of our first four picks anyways, or two picks. So I like this album a lot. Schoolboy Q, another anticipated one. I've been a big fan of Schoolboy Q for many years. Didn't love his last album, Crash Talk, which came out 5 years ago. So I was kind of looking for a bounce back from him. I would say this is that and then some. It's a great album. A lot of people are saying it's his best one. I don't think it is. Like, I'm a big Blank Face LP guy that dropped in 2016. If you never heard that, go check that one out. Amazing album. I like this one a lot. The only thing is, I think it runs for a bit too long. There's like close to 20 songs on here, and maybe some of them sound too similar that I would have snipped a few of them, which is kind of what's holding it from being higher for me. But that being said, I think it's a really, really good album. A lot of personal stories told on there, and Schoolboy Q, like, he's struggled with drug addictions and a lot of problems in his life, gang violence, and he's in a much better place in his life right now, and it's really great to see that fleshed out on wax when I spin that record on my vinyl player. Just kidding, but great album. So yeah, Blue Lips, that's my number four album so far by Schoolboy Q.
I did check this album out. I really liked it, but again, the length deterred me from listening it to more than, like, I've only listened to it twice, I believe. I dug it though, but I don't, like, I'll be honest, I don't even think I finished the album the first time. I putter off after 15 songs or so. But I liked what I heard. It's going to be one I re-listen for the end of the year show. I have a master list. The rest of my albums, honestly, I said I discovered Blue with hip hop because of Brandon, who does our year-end show with us. Like, all these three albums, the next three are because I follow his Instagram, and he always posts about the new stuff that comes out every week that no one's ever heard of, but they're 2024 releases. So all of this is from Brandon's Instagram, and these are phenomenal albums, in my opinion, the next three. At number three, I have Platinum OG 2 by Spice One. Spice One's a rapper I've never heard about, from California. Old school guy. This album is all about a return to the old school. It's got crazy beats and lyrics. It's got some skits in between the songs sometimes. It's a really solid album. Platinum OG 2 by rapper Spice One. Really solid stuff, Eric. You got to check it out.
Okay, you can tell by my face that I've never heard of this artist or this album, so yeah, I definitely will have to check it out. And now I have a feeling I'm not going to know any of these next albums you've got. I was maybe looking to see if there'd be some overlap. There's definitely no theme connecting my number three to this one. But yeah, I got, again, there's nothing I can add on to this one, but love to see that. Like, they're really getting into like a discovery phase with even more artists this year, so I might be the one rolling up now to this top 10 list at the end of the year, looking like the absolute noob out here, not knowing
No,
anyone.
no.
But no, that's awesome. So I'll add this one to the list as well. We'll check that out. Awesome. Number three for me, kind of a recent album, but I've been listening to it a lot. It's again by someone who I've been following for the last few years and had been looking forward to this album for a bit. It's Slant Face Killa by Conway the Machine. So we'll just add that on there. One sec. So Conway the Machine, who's actually coming to Ottawa in August, so I'm actually gonna I should really get on buying a ticket to go see him live because he was supposed to come and during the pandemic and then it didn't work out. They didn't let him into the country or something. So Conway, big fan of. He's like out of that Griselda group that I keep talking about every time rap comes up here. He's the more lyrical one of the trio, and but I think his progression in terms of putting out great albums is second, and his work ethic second to none. He put out like 20 albums last year, it felt like, and they're all pretty consistent. So like this one has maybe a bit more commercial appeal on it, has more features that he normally has, and I think they all really deliver, but he's the one who stands out the most. There's songs like Vertino and Muddy that I keep running back to, like just filthy beats, bangers, and crazy wordplay on there. So if you've not checked this out, Slant Face Killa, Conway the Machine, strong recommend. It's very good stuff.
Excellent pick, Eric. That could have been my number 5. It was between him and Benny. I'm gonna have to check this one out again because I haven't re-listened to it as many times as I'd want to. Like you said, Conway's a workhorse.
Oh yeah.
Production machine, and it's unbelievable to see, and I respect the guy a lot, and I dig his music. You introduced me to him like all these years ago, probably when we did the first top 10 hip hop album at the end of the year, and good choice, Eric. Yeah. Good choice. I'm going the opposite of commercial here. This is another Brendan pick. Like he highlighted this album on his Instagram. It's an album called The Jordan Era by rapper Saigon. Saigon, produced by a European producer, Fredro. Album is The Jordan Era. I absolutely love the beats on this album. They smack hard, they hit hard. The lyrics are great. Again, old school sounding, like not something from the 90s. And this is right up my alley. When I was in England, I bumped this album a lot on my walks, like just walking to the next destination. Really, really quick, solid album, The Jordan Era. Yeah, I'm curious. You need to listen to it, Eric. To me, like it's high in contention. It'll be high in my top 10 unless the year gets even better. So, The Jordan Era by Saigon.
Okay, well, just judging off the album cover, like it looks like it has that old school flair of like boombox, graffiti, basketball, like a lot of staples of old school hip hop culture. So I could see like just looking at again the album cover, like it's the kind of album you'd listen to walking down the streets of like Soho or just like maybe not anyways somewhere like grimy London. It could fit that kind of scene. That's cool. But no, again, none of these names are ringing a bell. I can see that Big Daddy Kane is on one of these songs though, which I didn't even know he was still putting out music. So that's great to see. And Cool G Rap, Pete Rock, so a few names I recognize on here, so that's awesome. Just again, keep introducing me to these albums, and if you're saying this one is actually a legit contender for end of year, definitely worth adding to the list as well. So my number 2,
excellent.
Another one that dropped very early in the year that I actually maybe had higher hopes for at first and was not let down, but a bit surprised at how much I enjoyed it, and then since I just keep coming back to it, I could not ignore it and not put it on my top 5 for now. It's The Penalty of Leadership by Boldy James and Nicholas Craven. So a Montreal producer, and Boldy James, who seemingly always finds a way in my top 10 for these rap albums, is back at it again. They're a duo that had put out another album before a few years ago called Fair Exchange, No Robbery. And I think this one is a bit like a little lesser to that one, but I still enjoy it a lot. There's a song on there, Jack Frost, that's one of my like so far summer bangers I play in the car on a sunny day, just driving to golf or leaving work. It just puts me in a good mood. It has like a kind of familiar sample that I can't place, but it just reminds me of something. And Boldy just floating over the beat. So I definitely recommend to this if you haven't heard it. Most of it is really good. I think maybe a couple of skips, but doesn't overextend. It's welcome. And Boldy James, like I just check out anything he drops, and for them, by and large, does not disappoint. So Penalty of Leadership, Boldy James, and Nick Craven. I think it's a solid early contender for top 10 of the year for sure for me.
Wow, you stumped. I don't remember listening to this album, Eric, and I'm gonna have to check my list after. Yeah, I don't remember this one, so I'm gonna have to re-listen to it ASAP. It probably dropped early, and I may have just missed it or skipped it. But I'm very curious to re-listen to it or listen to it for the first time again, because like you, I'm a big Boldy fan.
Let's go.
And yeah, thank you for reminding me. I'm gonna write that one down. So perfect. My number one, I think I brought up my number one we brought it up on the podcast before. My number one album as of this time is Richmond Hill by Masta Ace and produced by Marco Polo. I listened to this one again today. It had to be my number one. I love like the throwback to old 90s beats, and has like beats sampled by DJ Premier, and it has like there's a song called the Below the Clouds that has a Joni Mitchell sample. Love that song. Just the whole message of the album I love. You know, Masta Ace tells a story with each album, skits included. First song is all about I'm not some commercial crap kind of Spotify rapper. I'm this, I'm that. Like the first song is just introducing to like what he's about to like rap about, which is like stuff that's back to the original. That's a big theme with the albums. My last three albums, it's like, forget the new stuff. This is back to like the good part of hip hop, the good hip hop, back to the 90s. And Richmond Hill is that. It's a very nostalgic album. That's the best word to describe it. So yeah, my number one, Richmond Hill by Masta Ace.
Yeah, great album. I was considering it in the top 5 as well. And honestly, while I don't have it, it's not my number one pick. It's definitely one that as I go back and do like you said, the master list, you reconsider for like, you know what, this actually is a phenomenal album that does merit a top 10 spot for sure. And was unfamiliar with Masta Ace going into the year. I thought I confused him with someone else, Masta Killa, I think, who's a Wu-Tang Clan member associate. And I was super pleasantly surprised with this album. Love the flow of the whole thing. The production's awesome. Again, another Canadian producer on there, Marco Polo. So it just a very, very fun old school album to listen to. And like you said, it's that grassroots OG kind of rap that kind of scoffs almost at the new age rap that now fans of Richmond Hill may be disgusted to find out what my number one album of the year is that actually falls under that category. But I think this album actually kind of set the tone for a lot of events that went on to happen in 2024 in the rap scene. And it's one that I just keep going back to, bangers for days. That's my workout anthems. Before I'd go to hockey, I'd always start off with We Don't Trust You by Future and Metro Boomin. That's my number one, kind of unquestioned right now, to be honest. Like, I think this one ends up top 10 for me based on how much I've enjoyed listening to it. I love... So Future, his albums overall I'm not a big fan of, but there's something about the combination of him and Metro Boomin that I think just works. And that's a big credit to Metro Boomin, who I actually want to see him do more collab albums, full albums with artists. Like, I would love a Travis Scott Metro Boomin album. I think that would go crazy. But anyways, focusing on Future Metro, just the whole flow of the album is like sinister. It's almost like a Drake diss album, and it gave us one of the best rap songs of the year, and it set off the Drake Kendrick Lamar beef with Like That I keep running back to. And like I said, what it spawned off after that, Kendrick clipping Drake in their beef, and there's nothing else to be said at this point. Drake hasn't come back from this. He's put out some absolutely horrendous songs following that and bad features with a Hey There Delilah remix. I'm not sure if you heard that, but it's a travesty, really. But on the album though, I think again, maybe a couple of songs I skip on here, but the highs are high for me on this one. Like I said, the first song, Young Metro, Type Shit, Ice Attack, Claustrophobic. Like the first 6, 7 songs, I'll go no skipsies for sure. And then like Ain't No Love. There's some good features on there too. Rick Ross, Cinderella with Travis. I love that song. So yeah, it wasn't really a question for me what was number one. It was this one that I've listened to the most and continue to. It's been out for four months, so that's my pick. We Don't Trust You, Future Metro. Check it out.
And I have checked it out. I'm gonna have to recheck it out, Eric, because it's been too long. I believe you brought this up a while ago.
Most
like
likely.
when it came out. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll have to re-listen to it. Thank you for having that as your number one, because I don't remember that album. So awesome. I have to listen to those two albums you brought up today that escaped my memory. So excellent.
Yep.
No, like I said, there's gonna be a lot of heavy hitters coming out. I can see like 2-3 of my picks staying in my top 10, but like it's the music one is the hardest for me at the end of the year. That's my weak spot. Like my blind spot is hip hop out of movie, TV, and music. So it's gonna be hard for me to make a list, but it's a fun process.
Yeah, agreed. I'm counting. Like, I don't really want "We Don't Trust You" to be my number one album at the end of the year, to be honest, because like, while I say like it was unquestioned here, it still didn't have that like instant classic feel that I've had with my last few years of like knowing that it was this album. So I'm waiting on something else to come out that'll wow me. There's a few others that are recent that I haven't really listened to that much that I didn't want to include, like War Story by Yellow Wolf, Dark Times by Vince Staples. Like I've only listened to them once and I enjoyed them.
Me too.
But it's way too soon to say like, oh yeah, like number one or top five even. So we'll see with time. I could see like you a couple of these sticking around for the long run, but I don't think all of them are. And I don't want all of them to be here, to be honest, because they're not like. And if I like square them up against picks from previous years, they would not. It would not bode well if we did a Disney versus Pixar type battle here. So
Gotcha.
we can rerun our albums. So I'll say mine and then you can say yours. I got Everybody Can't Go, Benny the Butcher, Blue Lips, Schoolboy Q, Slam Face Killa, Conway the Machine, Penalty of Leadership, Bull D, Nick Craven, We Don't Trust You, Future Metro Boomin.
And at number 5, I had Everybody Can't Go, Benny the Butcher. Number 4, Out of the Blue by Blue. 3, Platinum OG 2 by Spice 1. At number 2, I had The Jordan Era by Saigon. And at number 1, I had Richmond Hill by Masta Ace. So, yeah, that's my top 5.
Okay, right on.
Did you want to do save TV for last or do movies?
Yeah, no, movies
okay,
now.
So movies
I think we go from
okay.
like worst to best because I think, like you said, TV's been a stronger year so far. Movies for sure. I'll start us off with movies. So number 5, I jokingly said Ricky Stenicki. It is not in my top 5, but it came alarmingly close to being there. So I'll just say like it's been pretty tough in terms of what I've seen. Anyways, like there's some blind movies that I just haven't seen this year that probably would bolster my lineup a bit, but I've seen a few and a lot of them have been underwhelming. And number 5 is like if this one's still top 10 at the end of the year, like I might quit the pod, to be honest. So number five for me is The Beekeeper, starring Jason Statham. So honestly, went into this with very low expectations, was maybe somewhat pleasantly surprised and entertained. They really lean into the campiness, right? Like they know what they are. They're not trying to fool anybody. Like they made, I think, 158 bee references in this movie. It's like, I protect the hive. I'm smoking the hornets out. Let's pour some honey on these bastards, or whatever they're saying. Like it was out of control. And you know what? I kind of enjoyed it. There's a couple of moments where I all out laughed out loud. So can't knock them really. It was entertaining. The action was pretty good. it definitely is over the top, but you know what you're signing up for going into it. So it's this guy Jason Statham that he used to be in this top secret program of like elites of the elites, right? If you need a job done, you call this guy the beekeeper. Now he's retired. He's forced back into action because someone he cared about got scammed. We've seen this story 100 times, but for some reason they keep hiring Jason Statham to play the character with a different code name and a different association that he was a part of. So, anyways, the beekeeper number 5. This is the last time you'll ever hear me talk about this movie, I promise you, but that's my number 5 for now.
That's awesome. I saw this at the theater, actually. Not really wanting to, it just got dragged out. And you know what? Like you said, it's a fun, campy, entertaining movie that we've seen a million times. And we've seen a million times with Jason Statham. He does what he does best in this. Gets in and out of buildings like, I don't know how, when it's surrounded by armed soldiers, in and out like a freaking ghost. Insane. And Josh Hutcherson as the bad guy had me in stitches.
Yeah.
Absolutely hilarious, like hilariously bad, but it would make the movie enjoyable. So yeah, I enjoyed it for its silliness. But yeah, if that makes your top 10, Eric, yeah, we're gonna have to rethink some stuff. At number 5, yeah, right. At number 5 for me, I have the drama comedy starring Zendaya called Challengers. It's the tennis movie.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's a good movie. Could have been better, but like what I liked is lots of flashbacks. So like the whole movie's like this tennis match between two guys. We don't know how they know each other, but then like after every game or set, there's like lots of flashbacks explaining why this match means a lot and the history with Zendaya. There's kind of a triangle thingy thing going on, but it's kind of funny. There's some vicious dialogue, and I mean, as we both love tennis, it makes it a little more enjoyable that the background is tennis. But yeah, it's for sure a drama comedy with good performances and kind of like vicious dialogue, like I said, like intense conversations, and a cool, kind of a unique soundtrack too, actually. So yeah, Challengers is fun to watch. Yeah, that's my number 5.
Right on, and this is one that I did want to get to see in theaters. I obviously missed my chance, but I'll definitely check it out when I can. I saw that it was someone had posted it like the full movie on Twitter. Like sometimes people do that, like just like F it. Here's Dune Part 2 in its entirety kind of thing, and then it's there, but it eventually gets taken down. So I didn't know if it was like a scam or not. So I just like clicked on the video and scrolled like 19 minutes into the movie. And then the first thing I see is these two guys just making out. I'm like, all right, I'll save this for later and I'll check it out like from the start. So, like, there's a lot going on in this one. But it eventually did get taken down, so I didn't get to watch it on Twitter. But yeah, no, I did want to see it. I'm glad it made your top 5. That I'm sure it's an entertaining movie. People say it's good. So yeah, no, and tennis movies, like I haven't seen all that many of them. So I do want to see if it makes the list at the end of the year. So nice pick. Number 4 for me, another one that I've talked about on the pod before. Another like revenge story, kind of similar to The Beekeeper, would be Monkey Man. So just a solid. We've talked about not all that long ago. Set in India, right, about a man who vows to get revenge for the atrocities that have been endured by his clan, I guess, and then his mother at the hands of the police and the oppressive regime that's running India, and just a lot of crazy like rags to riches, I guess, tale. Good action, fun. Like you love seeing a revenge story on screen, right? Dev Patel, I thought he was unreal as the main character, and just his grind from the bottom to the top, and yeah, it was a fun watch. So Monkey Man, number 4 for me for now.
I had Monkey Man as my number 3, but I'll switch it with my number 4 to have Monkey Man as my number 4, like you, so I can talk about it. I loved it. Again, a revenge story that we've seen before, but what I loved was the setting in India, that little club that he infiltrates. I love the bad guy. What I loved the most was the style, like the action and just the artful, like the artsy style at the end of just like like the backdrop, the lighting, like when he's in the elevator at the end, basically the movie poster with the red background, he's standing outside the elevator. Like it was very stylistic, had like a film noir, neo noir feel. Kind of reminded me of the movie Drive in some shots. Like I found Dev Patel directed this beautifully. That's what set it apart from other movies. Was it was beautifully directed by Dev Patel. There was some political stuff in there. I didn't mind that at all. It was cool. Cool fight scenes. Like you, Eric, love a great revenge movie. Those are my favorite. One of my favorite stories to watch. So Monkey Man was very impressed. I didn't go see it at the theater, but it's a movie I wish I had seen it on the big screen. But yeah, awesome that we both have it on this list. I don't think it'll make my top 10, but like I wouldn't be mad if it was my 10. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I see it as a
But yeah,
10
Monkey Man.
squeaker. Like it's I don't
Right.
think it'll be top 10 at the end of the year, but it's like a Creed 3 for me. An Iron Claw of last year, you know. Just don't let Nez hear that. But we'll see what happens at the end of the year, right? So, number 2 and 3 for me are like honestly interchangeable. I was literally thinking about it now, where you just did your little 3-4 switcheroo. I'm like, where am I going here? And I think I've made my choice for now. So number 3 for me, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I really enjoyed this movie, honestly. Another one that just talked about, but went in with pretty high expectations, thinking like, all right, this is one of my first like summer blockbuster movies that I'm excited for. That I'm a huge Planet of the Apes Caesar trilogy guy. So now that we're moving on from Caesar, how is this franchise is it gonna have legs to stand on? Giving us a whole new slew of characters completely unrelated to Caesar, but his legacy is carried on by multiple different characters who take on parts of his like ideology and make like creeds and religions out of. So I love the impact that he has hundreds of years after his death. Like you don't just forget about Caesar. And our new main character, Noah, I thought was phenomenal. Like his progression from kind of being the underperforming son who has big shoes to fill, and like his dad is the chief of the Eagle clan. It's like the penalty of leadership, kind of the burden of proof. And you just feel for him. It's like a relatable situation where like you don't want to let your parents down, and he's taken on a lot. And I found that his development was perfect. It wasn't forced. Whereas like Caesar is kind of like already like he's the man off the rip and just commands his apes. Whereas Noah, he has to earn that, and he doesn't get it until the end of the movie. Like that's his kind of ascension to be the man, and we're starting to see that when we get closer to the end. So the new character, like the human characters we get, are awesome. The world building that happens, I really enjoyed, and the plan, I'm pretty sure, is to make 5 more movies here. So they've got a lot of ground to cover, and they really set the foundation and teased a lot of stuff to come with this movie. The ending is like a big cliffhanger in a sense, and it sets up future movies. So really happy with this one. I'm looking forward to rewatching it. Very happy I got to see it in theaters. It looks phenomenal too. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
This is the one I haven't seen, Eric. I have not watched this yet, and I'm really excited to watch it. Just haven't had the time. Really looking forward to it. I mean, you've praised it. A lot of people have praised it actually. So can't wait to watch it, and then we'll discuss it. I'll discuss it when I've watched it. So solid. Can't wait to watch it. And just on a side note, I watched The Iron Claw recently. I loved it, Eric.
Okay, let's go.
You were right to have it on. You were right to have it on your top 10. I really dug it. Crazy story, crazy family. I can't believe this has happened.
Yeah.
It's actually sadder in real life. Even they like dumbed it, like they made it not as intense in the movie. It's weird. It's a big cautionary tale.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Iron Claw I really enjoyed.
Love
so
that.
you're good on you to have it on your list. Okay, my number 3 from the man who brought us Ex Machina and Annihilation. His new movie this year, Civil War. Really enjoyed this movie. It's like a snippet into this future catastrophe that hit the United States. You know, a civil war. We're not told a lot of background stuff. We're just thrown right in as we follow these journalists, played by Kirsten Dunst, and the guy who plays Pablo Escobar from Narcos. Forget his name. Shoot. He did a good job, though. You're just following them to the Capitol, basically, and it gets pretty intense. There's a couple of shootout scenes, and it's pretty messed up how like the lengths that journalists will go, but we also kind of need them to report on what's going on. It's very cool. Love the last sequence at the end really hit me hard. You have like a rookie journalist joining them too, the young girl. She's really good. Civil War flows like it rips by. It's a quick watch. Really, really like that. I might have to rewatch it if I want to consider it seriously for the end of the year list. But I really enjoyed my time with Civil War. Yeah, number 3.
Nice, Matt. I have not seen it. It was one that I did want to get out to theaters to see. I was under the impression that it'd be more of like an action movie too when I first heard of this, and like when the first trailers were being advertised. Which is my understanding is that it's really not. Like a lot of the action takes place off camera, and maybe there are some action scenes and like tense moments, but it's really not like an all out one faction against the other, guns blazing, like what you would or maybe I expected, which can be good though. Like I'm sure that the following that journalistic point of view is has a lot of tense moments and a lot of stressful situations there in that movie. So it's definitely on my list to see before the year's done to see if it makes it in mine as well. So awesome, love that. Number 2 for me, my most recent 2024 flick is something again I thought was an action movie and going into it just based on the title. I guess maybe I'm just being blinded by these action buzzwords. You hear Civil War, you hear Hitman, you think you're going to get some action. Well, Hitman is my number 2 movie of 2024 as it stands, starring Glenn Powell and, just want to get her name right, Adria Arjona. Love this movie. So, describing this movie, I really struggle with because it's a bit of a complex situation. It's basically this guy, Glenn Powell, who has a side gig as a tech assistant for the police department where he and a team of individuals hire, or one of them acts as a fake hitman who is hired by people who want to hire this fake hitman to kill like someone in their lives, be it their spouse, their ex-husband, ex-wife, boss, whatever, and they essentially record the whole situation and get this person to confess that they want to hire a hitman to kill somebody and then lock that person up. So Glenn Powell is one of the tech guys. Eventually he has to replace the guy who acts as the hitman and becomes a star acting as the hitman. And as he goes through these gigs locking people up, he eventually meets Adria Arjona's character, and there's instantly a connection there. He doesn't want her to lock her up for hiring him as her fake hitman, and then they develop a romance. So it's a full-blown rom-com in my opinion, with a lot of like maybe there's some tense little moments happen, but it's a rom-com or it's a comedy at the very least. And I found it hilarious. Like there's a lot of moments saw in the theater that we were dying of laughter in there. But the start was pretty rocky. Like I was very unsure about where this was going and questioning whether or not I made a huge mistake asking my brother if he wanted to come with me, knowing nothing about this movie, thinking it was an action movie kind of thing. So I really enjoyed it. I wonder where it's going to stack up at the end of the year, but it's another like notch in Glenn Powell's run of just like being the lead man and being a very good lead actor and great chemistry with Adria Arjona, who actually plays Bix in Andor, who I was a big fan of her in that show, and she was great in this. So, Hitman, if you can catch it in theaters, do it. But I think it's going on Netflix pretty soon. So if you have a VPN in the US, it already is on Netflix there. So check it out. Hitman, great stuff.
I did check out Hitman after seeing your review, Eric, and I really liked it. It's directed by Richard Linklater, one of my favorite directors. Not typically movies he does, but his comedic touch was there. I didn't know what this movie was trying to be at first. I read your review, so I'm like, okay, don't take it for like face value. And actually, Mackenzie and I, we both really enjoyed it. We watched it last Saturday night. It was really good.
Nice.
Maybe my only complaint would be like, to me, like I could have kept going. It ended pretty abruptly, in my opinion, and it didn't really know what it wanted to be. But Glenn Powell was great, and laugh out loud. It's kind of a screwball crime. One situation escalates it and makes it even worse, and you're trying to get out of it. Like I like that aspect of it. It was really fun to watch. I hadn't even seen the trailer. I don't know if the trailer makes it look like an action movie, but like it's a movie that's hard to describe. right? So
Yeah.
I'd rewatch it again because there's probably a shit ton of stuff I missed the first time, to be honest. So good on you, Eric, and maybe one to rewatch for me. My number two, I had to go with one horror movie on the list, and my number two, I've talked about it on the show before. It's Late Night with the Devil. I felt like this movie was made for me. It's got everything I like about horror movies. Like, it had a one set, all on one, takes place in real time, cool special effects. It's about a late night talk show host who's trying to rekindle the show, like put some fire back into it, and he brings in like it's a one Halloween night. He brings in like a psychic and a someone who's trying to like I forget what they're called. Like they're trying to debunk the psychic, basically. Like someone who's trying to expose him. He's trying to expose him for a fraud that he is. But then like the host keeps bringing other weird stuff starts happening, and the skeptic starts believing. It's got a lot of weird stuff in it. The late night host is played by David Dastmalchian. This is one of his first starring roles. You recognize this man as a supporting character in a million other movies. But yeah, Late Night with the Devil, I've already talked about it. Really cool little indie horror film from this year, and I want to see more like that hopefully this year. But yeah, it's gonna be hard for this one to not be on my top 10.
Nice.
Late Night with the Devil, number two.
I thought this would be your number one, to be honest. Like, I just based on you brought it up and your review on Letterboxd, so that's what I was thinking for number one for you. It's actually so the last few episodes we've gotten a few submissions from people and stuff I forgot to list out, so that's my bad. So I'm gonna do that right now. My friend Melissa, she submitted this as her pick for 2024 so far. She was a big fan of it as well. So Late Night with the Devil, I gotta check it out as well. I do want to see it. He's a good supporting actor, this guy, and nice to see him get a shot in the leading role. So we'll have to do so as well. I don't think any single person on planet Earth is going to be surprised at what my number one movie is, seeing as I've seen it 3 times and I'd started it for a fourth time, but then paused. I'm like, all right, I gotta just chill and maybe wait for the fall to watch this. So, Dune Part 2, number one, no questions asked. I think this is going to be my number one at the end of the year, too, to be honest. I love this movie. Love this movie. I still listen to the album, the soundtrack constantly, and I just keep liking it more and more. I think it flows. There's nothing I would cut out of this movie, to be honest. I think it's perfectly paced, and I just get an appreciation for the characters more and more every time I watch it. Third time, Austin Butler. Austin Butler steals the show, in my opinion, and I want more of him in the. I wrote in my review, like if they ever do like a Lord of the Rings extended edition with more Fade Routha, I'd be all in on that. But we'll see what they put out down the line. But yeah, Dune Part 2. I'll probably watch it again at some point this year, and looking forward to Dune Part 3, if and when that drops. So, number one, don't need to say too much more.
I've only seen Dune Part 2 once, Eric, at the theater. May have judged it too harshly, honestly, because this movie stayed with me in my mind since seeing it. Like, I really want to rewatch it. And I have Dune Part 2 as my number one as well, because you know what? I look back fondly at that theater experience as it's the best theater experience of the year for me. It was a phenomenal movie. When we talked about it on the show, maybe my quibbles, maybe they're not really warranted at all. I do need to rewatch it, right? It's all about that second view. But just looking back on the movie, it is the best movie I've seen so far, hands down. Like way better than the other 4 movies I listed. Cinematic, the bombastic score, the performances, the epic scope of Denis Villeneuve's his vision. He's a true auteur, like presenting this Dune universe on the big screen. He's done it beautifully. A movie that like was deemed like unfilmable, right? Like David Lynch tried a shot and it failed. And this movie, it's such a rich universe, and he's able to portray it so beautifully. Dune Part 2, my number one. Nice. This will most likely be on my top 10. Pretty much guarantee it, unless we get like 9 other bangers or 10 other bangers, which I don't see happening. But I will be rewatching this, Eric, obviously before the end of the year show to see where it places. But no, this movie was phenomenal. It truly was. Looking back, maybe I should have gave it a higher score, honestly.
Hey.
But I got to rewatch it. Great. I love that you have it on number one. I knew it was going to be your number one. And this morning when I made my list, I was like, it has to be my number one. It's that good. So, yeah, Dune Part 2.
And
Good stuff, Eric.
scores can be broken and changed, right? So,
Yeah.
I think that the third time I watched it was on my phone in the airplane. So like, there's no wrong or bad medium to view this movie on. I think with subtitles too, it's very nice. Like really not miss anything. Like that's one thing in the theater that you definitely I don't like it about the theaters that they don't have subtitles, but you catch everything on that second or subsequent viewing at home. So it's on Crave right now. If anyone has Crave, it's easy to throw on. Like it's obviously a long movie, but I find it goes by pretty quick to be honest. So it doesn't feel like a slog of a 3 hour. It's 2 hours and like 40 minutes if that. So definitely rewatch for sure. All right, awesome. So I think there's a few people who submitted album or movies. There are no album picks, but we got from my friend Will. He submitted Furiosa, which I was actually trying to go see last night before doing this pod, but got away from me. I do want to see it. That's another one that I wish the reviews were a bit more universal and that like everyone's saying it's amazing so that I know like okay, this is a banger. But it's a bit but again, that could be a good thing, right? So now I don't have the highest of hopes to say, oh, it's going to be a masterpiece, right? But I've heard from a lot of people that it's very solid, and I think it's one that's worth going to see in theaters. They're sadly pulling it from a lot of theaters because it's not performing that well, which I find surprising, to be honest. But if there's a movie to see in theaters right now, it's probably Furiosa. So even if you're not a crazy Mad Max fan, like I've only seen Fury Road, I did get to see that in theater. I think it's worthwhile for Anya Taylor-Joy, and apparently Chris Hemsworth is really good in there too. So go check out Furiosa. I keep being told to go see it in theaters, and I will. Hopefully next week I can get out and go see it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either, Eric. It's one that I don't really want to, like, I want to go to the theater or at least wait till, like, I don't want to pirate this one. I've been staying purposely away from doing that. Again, divisive. I've talked to a lot of people at my work. A lot of them did not enjoy it. And then I see the reviews on our letterbox, and some of our buddies did like it. So I was like, all right, I kind of like that. I'll make up my own mind when I see it. But no, I haven't seen it either.
Yeah. So I do think, though, like that I wouldn't... Well, I mean, there's no way it's worse than The Beekeeper. I can guarantee you that. So it would have been in my top 5 for sure. And I anticipate it's one that has a shot top 10. For the rest of the year, like me, it's really I'm looking at Deadpool, Wolverine as one to maybe dethrone Dune. Like it'll be like surprise movies for me that I'm forgetting about right now. But I think Dune's in a league of its own, unless like I said something it's slipping my mind or I'm just blown away by something. I'm actually very excited for this Lord of the Rings animated movie, the Legend of the Rohirrim or something like that, which I know we had talked about a few episodes ago, and I said I wasn't excited for, but now that I've seen pictures of what the animation style looks like, and I'm a big anime guy. Like I love animated movies and shows, so I'm very excited for this movie now. Gladiator 2, we'll see. I don't know if that's this year or not, but there'll surely be stuff that'll be great and will make for an interesting list. But no, that's it right now. Beekeeper, Monkey Man, Kingdom of the Apes, Hitman, Dune Part 2. That's for me.
And I've got Challengers, Monkey Man, Civil War, Late Night with the Devil, and Dune Part 2.
All right, so we can segue over to, or are you gonna say, Matt?
No, I was just gonna say what you were gonna say, so keep going.
Well, I'll just say we can segue over to our TV shows. Do you want to start us off?
Sure. TV was the hardest to do. I've been doing good this year for keeping up with TV shows. I feel like there's a lot of heavy hitters coming out. Like Boys season 4 just popped on like today. Like episode 1's out. There's House of the Dragon still, and like a lot of cool shows to come. Possibly a Star Wars show. I don't know. We're not gonna talk about that right now though. I got no Star Wars on my list. Number 5 for me is an Amazon Prime show, Fallout.
Oh, nice.
Heard of the video game back in the day, never played it. Really enjoyed the show. It was not silly fun, but it was like cheesy fun. I didn't have to think too hard. Watched it with my girlfriend. We both enjoyed it. Nothing too dark or it's gonna like blow me away, but it was serviceable enough, kept me intrigued. Cool world, cool action. Walton Goggins is one of the main characters, like had me hooked every time he was on screen. Great actor. But yeah, Fallout was cool. It was a cool universe to watch. And I'm excited to see more in that universe. So yeah, Fallout. Have you checked it out, Eric?
Yeah, I binged this in like I think 3 days. It was a super easy watch. It was like I think from the same creators as Westworld, perhaps, or they
Yeah.
produced it or something along those lines. So it definitely had that look of like, all right, post-apocalyptic world or dystopian future, and a lot of reveals later on in the season and like twists and stuff. I think overall they weren't mind-blowing twists like Westworld was, but they were still like always kept me hooked and like seeing, oh, what's gonna happen here, and what are these characters' motivations and stuff. I thought it was like a very wholesome vibe with Ella Purnell, like the main character. I thought she was great. Like she comes from like this civilization where like you do good and you do good things, and like we're the future of humanity. Like we have to be kind to one another, and like completely doesn't fit into the world that's going on above ground where it's like survival of the fittest, like rabid dogs in this barren wasteland. So she was an interesting
Yeah.
character to see like navigate this world. Like when she interacts with the clerk at the shop, who like basically tells her to f off like the whole time she's there, and like, oh, why are you being so nice? Anyway, it definitely, I enjoyed it a lot. Walton Goggins, though, best character by far is the Ghoul. His action scenes
Yeah.
fired me up, and you just know he's like OP as it gets. Nothing's gonna happen to him, but you just accept it. It's like, yep, this guy's unreal. So I don't know if it's a rewatch show, but I'm excited for season 2. That's for sure. Thought it was a great first season, all consistently solid. So no, great pick. Number 5 for me. I don't think this stays there at the end of the year, to be honest. Like you said, it's been a strong year in TV, and this one, like I enjoyed, but not the best out there. So Late Bloomer. I've talked about this before. It's a Canadian show about well, I mean, I'd have to have like the information in front of me there, but Late Bloomer, basically, second generation Indian Canadian who is like struggling to find his place in Canada, and uh, like has the more like kind of religious and cultural obligations to his family, and he kind of wants to break out of them. He lives at home. He's trying to find his, like, again, become a star in the podcast world. I found it to be very funny though, like a lot of hilarious situations and characters, and a lot of relatable stuff as well, right? About like family and not like to the extremes that they get to in there. Like there's major problems between the parents and the kids there, but I just thought it was interesting to see like a different cultural experience be presented on the screen, one that I'm not very familiar with. But there were little instances where I could see, like, okay, like at Half Lebanese, like I could see a bit of that as well in there. So I thought it was, like I said, relatable in that sense, and just interesting to see a different Canadian experience. So funny show, like 25-minute long episodes, very easy watch. It's on Crave. Late Bloomer, would recommend.
Yeah, I remember when you brought this up the first time on the other episode, and I remember you saying it was cool that the Canadian setting, and there was some stuff that we would understand as people living in Ontario. But no, I haven't checked it out yet. I
Yeah.
know the comedian you're talking about. Yeah, I've seen the trailer, like the previews for it, but no, I haven't checked it out yet. But thanks for reminding me. Um, my number 4 is, I think I brought this up on the show before. It's from Netflix. It's the Guy Ritchie British gangster show, The Gentleman. Subtitles are a must for the show because there's rapid fire British dialogue a la Guy Ritchie, like in all his movies, like super, lots of exposition story every episode. It's really good though. It's Theo James who basically plays the heir to this giant fortune. His dad passed away, and he's like a lord. So now he becomes a new lord and inherits a huge estate. But if you've seen the Guy Ritchie movie, The Gentleman, you know that this Matthew McConaughey's weed empire is underground, is all underground on these giant estates, so that no one bothers them. And Theo James, who becomes the new lord, happens to discover, like, hey, I have this big grow up underneath me. What can I do about it? And then the main girl character, she's like, she's like, hey, listen, we have this going on. You have to work with us now. And he's, whether he likes it or not, he's got to cooperate with the gangsters. And then stuff starts happening, funny situations, like darkly funny situations. And he's thrown headlong into a world of crime, basically. Really good show. It rips by, it flies by. My girlfriend and I, we both enjoyed watching this. It's easy to watch. I don't know if it'll make my top 10 like Fallout, but it was a really fun watch, Eric. And again, if you like British gangster stuff, this is a must watch for anyone. So yeah.
Yeah, so I started this series up. I think I got like 3-4 episodes in, at least. And probably four, 4 or 5 even. And I kind of lost interest, to be honest. Like it was the Theo James character who he was great. Honestly, like all the characters were. I was a big fan of the girl. I forget her name, but she was great. I just found that he was like too comfortable in this position. Like always had. It reminded me of Suits in the sense where like Mike, like he messes up or whatever. Like the other brother, the idiot brother, he's like the one messing up, and then Harvey swoops in at the last second, like, oh, this clause you never heard of before actually covers us in this situation. So that'd be my only gripe with it is like, unless maybe further down the line in the season we see him sweat a little bit, but he was just always so cool, calm under pressure, had the answers. Which could be hypocritical in me saying this, and like I like seeing that sometimes, like a character is like unfazed, like the ghoul, I guess, in Fallout, who never is like always in a good spot. But even he, like he had moments in the ghoul where when they're in that like pharmacy where he looked like he was on the wrong side of ghoul form and like needed the drugs to continue to live, and then Ella Purnell gave him the drugs. So I need to see some struggle, and it just didn't get that out of. I think his name is Edward or Edwin in the show. So that's I think why I kind of unhooked in that like it was just too Harvey Specter of our Edwin main character. But I think it had a lot of potential. If you're saying that it's a must watch, like it's like a consistent story, I'll hop back into it and finish it. But I think that's why I unhooked. In that like there are a bunch of other shows going on. Like there's so much that I haven't finished this year, so I'll have to get back into it and finish it up. But that's kind of my where I stood on that. And the other guy, like the stoner, I forget his name, an absolute moron who like fell in love one time at a Arby's and then like gave up their entire grow up. But anyways, so there's definitely interesting characters in there, and Gus Fring in there. Why not? Always, he's always consistent though. Like I have nothing bad to say about him. But anyways, so I went on a bit of a rant there. But no, good pick though overall. I like the concept. Like I think it's a cool situation. But that's kind of just why I unhooked, I guess. Number 4, Fallout for me. Same thing. I am a big fan. I don't know what else to add on it, but such an easy watch. Like, love the world. I thought it looked cool. The knights, I think, looked awesome. Like, the suit of armor that they wear. I would have liked to see that charade of, like, the guy pretending to be that knight go on a bit longer, but I guess you can't really live with that guilt. So you just had to tell his squire. But, nope. Good show. Not too much else to add. Just excited to see what they do with Kyle MacLachlan going forward. MacLachlan, anyways. So I think there's a lot of potential with this show. So Fallout season 1, great first season.
Nice pick, Eric. I just want to go back to the gentleman. That is a great comparison you made for it to Suits, because the show is super polished, and even though there's danger, you know it's not anything dark or anything horrible is going to happen. But that's the Guy Ritchie style basically. And I you're right, Eric. It's not like the stakes are high, but they're never. You know, nothing bad's going to happen. I know what you mean. I understand your critiques, and I can't argue against them. So, good comparison to Suits, actually.
Yeah, thanks.
It's very polished and clean. Yeah. And good pick, Fallout. My number 3 is also Netflix. It's a limited series simply titled Baby Reindeer. This was really dark and a messed up mini-series, Eric. It's based on true events. The guy who these events happened to directed, wrote, and stars in the show. So he's like playing a younger version of himself. Even though he looks like 38, he's trying to play like a 25-year-old self, but he plays himself, so where it makes it work. He's being stalked. Okay, this is a show about a stalker, but you think it's a show about a stalker, but it's really a show about this man's life, the depression, and doesn't know what to do with himself. You know, people have been there before. I'm sure we've all had similar thoughts that he's had in the show. Befriends this lady, but then she won't let him go. Like, she's showing up at his work all the time, outside his apartment. He kind of like playfully plays along at first, but then it gets really dark. And then as the episodes continue, you find out more background stuff, and that's where it turns it into like a horror type of nightmare show. Really enjoyed Baby Reindeer. I could have watched it all in one shot. It's like 6 episodes of half an hour, 40 minutes. Very dark, right up my alley. I don't know if it's something you'd like to watch, Eric. It is like there's some heavy stuff in there, but I had to watch it because it's almost like a fringe horror nightmare type thing going on. And the main actor did a great job. I wonder if he's going to get more roles now, but it's his project, and a lot of people watched it and were like, ooh, it's a big critique on Hollywood too, in that industry. He's a comic in the movie, a stand-up trying to break out. But yeah, Baby Reindeer I loved it, Eric. Yeah, maybe you should check it out if you'd like, but it's pretty heavy.
Okay. I've heard of it. I've seen people talk about it, saying that it's a really good show. It's heavy, like you said, but I didn't really know much about it. So now seeing that you're putting it at number 3, and that would justify, like, okay, like people have been talking about. I've seen this name. I didn't know what it was about, but this does sound interesting and like a dark show. But I can mess with that for sure. So, Baby Reindeer, okay, good to another one add on to the list there. I like it. Didn't see this one coming. Yeah, I like that. Number 3 for me, one that I don't anticipate makes it at the end of the day, but so far, I love this show. I love tuning in week to week, seeing the stories that the animators presented to the screen for us. In its final season, Bad Batch season 3 for me, where I thought, sorry, one sec. Where, yeah, I think that this show, The Bad Batch, kind of came out of nowhere, in that they had these new characters in the Clone Wars that were introduced in 2021, and then they decided to give them an entire spin-off. Wasn't all convinced that this was the best idea, but as we went along, the show just got better and better. The characters, such as, for example, Omega, who I wasn't crazy about at first, just kept getting better. The attachment was really there. And it was an emotional ending to this show. Like, I was like, oh my god, I don't want to say goodbye to these characters. That was a phenomenal ending. And it only got, again, like I said, I'm repeating myself, better and better. The stakes were high. We find out a lot more about what activities the Empire was up to in relation to cloning. And yeah, just what started off as kind of an unwanted Andor-esque spin-off turned out to be a very heartwarming welcome addition to the Star Wars universe. I think whatever they do in the animated medium just works, and there was really no filler in this season, which was a critique of the other season, where they would always go on these little side quests that kind of derailed us. Like, they're taking jobs for Sid, that greedy lizard, nasty, just nasty, like slug-esque from Monsters Inc. type character. Forget her name, but it's kind of who she reminded me of. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad they dumped her and just focused on the Batch. And Crosshair, phenomenal character. Like, I love what they did with him, like showing the conflict within him, and that he's the one who he turned back to the Empire, did not stay with his brothers, and then just the journey back with Omega. And Hemlock was just an absolute sociopath of a villain, and again, love what they did with him. Like, they can give us an original character like that you really grow to hate, as much as I did for that bastard. Hats off to Dave Filoni and the creative writers group over there. So, Bad Batch season 3, strong recommend. If you're fine with the animated medium, trust me, it only gets better, and you'll fall in love with the Batch and Omega. I mean, I guess as we all did, So.
Man, I'm kicking myself right now. I should have had this in my top five instead of Fallout. I admitted it because I'm like, I don't. I'll put Fallout in there, but this I love the Bad Batch
Yeah.
last season, the final season. I agree with everything you said, Eric. The key thing you said, no filler episodes. This one just like really wanted to tune in. Like I wanted to rip this whole season in one shot, but we can't on Disney Plus because I was so intrigued. I love like the whole stuff with the Empire, Project Necromancer, the cloning stuff. I love those little tidbits, and with Hemlock, great stuff. Cool fight scenes, like that basically the bad guy clone that's pursuing them, that's just as elite as like Hunter or Crosshair, like with the mask. He was freaking badass. He was
sick.
cool. Right? And like that stuff, badass. This is more enjoyable than most of the movies that came out in the last, the sequel trilogy. The anime medium is perfect for Star Wars, in my opinion. It allows you to do stuff that you can't necessarily do in live action. Really good stuff. I love these characters more than like some of the live action characters. I love Hunter and Wrecker and Omega and Crosshair. Like, they're awesome characters. I agree with everything you said, Eric. Good on you for having it in the top five. Honestly, I should have had it in mine too.
You like Crosshair more than Jedi Knight Yord? Shocker.
I do. No, good stuff, Eric. I'm glad you brought it up so we can talk about it.
Had to.
Yeah. All right, my number two. I don't think this will be really unexpected, but my number two is a show again from Netflix. The show is actually in black and white and very artsy and European. This is Ripley, starring
nice.
Andrew Scott. Andrew Scott, who plays Moriarty in the Sherlock series, the BBC Sherlock series. Ripley is based on the movie The Talented Mr. Ripley, which is based on the novel by the author who's written all these books about Tom Ripley. So this show, Ripley, basically follows the same plot as the Matt Damon movie. He gets tasked to go find a long lost, like basically he gets brought, the dad wants his son found, basically, so he hires Ripley to go bring back his son. And Ripley starts a fascination with the son and kind of wants to be him, and slowly, he formulates a plan. So anyways, I'm not going to get into it. Those who have seen the movie know what happens. But all I'm going to say is this show, Ripley, is slow-paced. But it is the most superbly well-shot show of the year. Like, it's the most beautiful show I've seen this year. Cinematography-wise, setting-wise, it's superbly filmed. Like, watch episode 1 just to see that, and then go from there. Not a lot of actors in the movie, not a lot of stuff happening super fast. Like, they can spend a whole episode on one thing that's happened, but it's so well shot. It's very artsy. It's right up my alley, basically. There's murder, there's intrigue, there's a lot of, like, con man stuff going on, because he is a con man. But, yeah, Ripley, really enjoyed. Surprise of the year for me, really. Like, this will probably be in my top 10. Yeah, Ripley. Not for everyone, though. Like I said, it's kind of glacially paced, but superbly shot. That's what put it over the edge for me. The director of photography needs to win an award for this show. It's amazingly shot. Yeah, Ripley.
Man, are you
number 2?
Are you sponsored by Netflix or something, going back to back with these picks? I did not see this coming at all. I've heard of Ripley, and I remember seeing that they were making a show about it, in, like, spin-off of the movie, which I've seen along, like, I was in England when I saw it. I was a big fan of that movie. So I definitely want to check this show out, because I did see that it got pretty good ratings on IMDb. I think all the episodes hover around like an 8, which is really good. So, okay, that's awesome to hear. I did not know it was in black and white, but that is cool. I like that stylistic choice. And yeah, maybe I didn't go to it because I didn't really recognize the lead, comparing it to the movie, right, where we got, like, it's Matt Damon who plays the talented Mr. Ripley, and you got Jude Law in there. I think Kate Blanchett is in that movie as well, or am I mistaken her with, like, could it be Gwyneth Paltrow? I think both of them are in it. Anyways.
Both of them, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, that's awesome. I'll definitely check this out. Sorry, gentlemen, you have to wait a little longer. But, yeah, no, that's awesome. Good pick. And funnily enough, my pick is also a spin-off of a movie. I've talked about it before, Mr. and Mrs. Smith on Prime Video. So that's my number 2 pick of this year. which I've actually recommended it. I've recommended on the pod, and I've heard back from some people that it was kind of a letdown for them. So that hurt me a bit, but I bounced back. It's all good. I'm just kidding. I didn't take it personally. But no, Mr. and Miss Smith, I was a big fan of it, having never seen the movie. I was just a fan of Donald Glover and Maya Erskine as our two leads. I thought they had amazing chemistry. They go on like episodic missions to take down targets, and then you kind of see their relationship progress. I found it to be hilarious. Like, I had a blast watching this. Super easy to binge. A lot of cool on-set locations. Like, they move around in Europe, and they're getting access as assassins, right? They get access to like all this equipment and like these disguises and identities and stuff. Like, I just found it to be sick. I get to go to like a ski lodge in Switzerland, just like crushing old fashions by the fire with like other people that they're trying to get information from. Like, I thought it was just really awesome. So talked about it before, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. It got renewed for a second season, so I'm excited to see what they end up doing there. They have the option to go with different characters too, right? Because this could easily be an anthology style series where we follow different Smiths. Like, in this show, there are other Smiths in this world as well, right? So like, that's not really a spoiler. You see that pretty early on, like episode 6, I think. But it's a great show. I would definitely recommend Mr. and Miss Smith, Prime Video. One of the surprise of the year for me, and I think has a claim to stay in that top 10.
I remember when you brought this up the first time, like on the What We Watch segment, but yeah, I haven't watched it yet, Eric. I'm gonna have to check it out. I know you held it in high regard, so definitely gonna have to watch it before the end of the year. So that's awesome. Thanks for bringing it back up. I kind of forgot about it, so maybe
Yeah.
Prime. Maybe I'll have more Prime picks, not just all Netflix, right? So,
Yeah.
my number one is not Netflix. My number one is Disney Plus, or well, FX through Disney Plus. My number one is Shogun.
Nice.
I binged this while I was in England. It's phenomenal, Eric. Not what you think with the second later, like the second half of the show is not what you think, but it's Game of Thrones-esque political power play action in a samurai feudal war setting with amazing characters, crazy good lines, crazy fights and violence. And it, like I said, the political power plays are awesome. It's just like those times there was a lot of that going on, and it's all about like secrets and lies and deception, and there's a lot of that in Shogun. A really cool show, Eric. If anything, you'll love it. Just the costumes, the setting, the way it's done, and the production value is amazing. It's phenomenal. Was never bored for a second. Kind of crazy how it ends and wraps up. Not the way, like, I didn't call anything in this show, Eric. A lot of crazy stuff happens, deaths, and did not see any of that coming. Like, it ends pretty wildly. So yeah, that's Shogun season 1. Really dug it. Really dug it.
You speak as though you assume I have not seen Shogun and that it is not my number one as well.
Oh.
Well, you would be correct in assuming that it's not my number one, because I've actually, unfortunately, have not finished Shogun. I'm at like episode 4. It's too bad because like I was a big fan. I was actually following it week to week. I thought it was fantastic, but then I just got derailed, and I think a big factor for me was that it's in Japanese, and like I could never find like an hour where I was in the mood to watch something with subtitles fully, and I opted for like easier. Like, honestly, it always came down to, I have an hour slot. Do I watch a full Shogun or a Bad Batch season 3 and a X-Men 97 season 1, which is my number one show of the year? Like, that's what it came down to. It was which one do I want to watch, and I always went for the animated ones. Now I'm gonna finish Shogun because I know for sure, like I'm 99% sure this will be a top 10 show for me at the end of the year. I loved everything that I saw. It's just I haven't finished it. But yeah, for me it's X-Men 97. No question, it was my favorite one of the year so far. Like, every week I was hooked. I thought, again, once we got to like Genosha, specifically episode 5, I think it got insane. I was a massive Magneto fan. I thought he was unreal in this show. And all the other X-Men that kept popping up, like, they weren't making it a what we're used to seeing in like the Fox movies, the Wolverine centric affair. Like, this really focused on the group and kind of the cause of the X-Men, which like the story they told was perfect with the Sentinels. Like, Sebastian, also phenomenal villain. Theo James, I'm pretty sure, I think he voices him. So full
Oh.
circle. But I thought X-Men 97, like the look of it, like I love that animation style of old school, hand drawn through computer animated. Thought it was unbelievable. Great music, great action scenes. We just talked about like quite a few times recently, so I don't need to get into too much
Yeah.
detail. But Shogun, though, just to touch on your number one pick, I'm looking forward to watching it. It actually got renewed for seasons 2 and 3. So this looks like it's one that they're gonna want to keep pushing. Where I was coming into this year thinking like it's a one season thing, as it was back in the what was it 90s or 80s that this dropped. So nice to see that it's been well received and they want to keep this story pushing. I might have to restart the whole show though, to be honest. It's been a while, so maybe just watch some sort of recap. But
Yeah.
looking forward to that. It's on my short term watch list, right alongside Ripley. Now it's one that I will have to sink my teeth back into. But yeah, no, great picks. I thought you were gonna go. I thought you would have X-Men on here. To be honest, I'm surprised, but I respect the variety in both our lists except for Fallout.
It was a strong contender, Eric. Truly was. Same with Bad Batch. I didn't pick any animated shows. Maybe I should have. I loved X-Men 97 for all the reasons you've just said. I loved seeing all those. I like seeing the variety of X-Men characters I haven't seen before at all, or people I've read, people I've only known from like video games or reading obscure like Marvel books back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Love that bad guy, Mr. Sinister. He was really
Yeah.
creepy and awesome. Not enough of it. I would have watched way more. I would have watched twice the amount of episodes and the storylines. Like it rips by. Also love the Xavier storyline when he's with all the aliens and different races. And like I wanted to know way more about them because I knew nothing about that. So like it opens the possibility. The possibilities are endless, and really, really dug it, Eric. Like I said, it ended, and I'm like, okay, we need more. We need more than just these friggin' 30-minute episodes. But good pick, Eric. Very solid pick.
I hope we get season 2 relatively soon, like next year. I wouldn't want to wait 2 years for this, but we'll see. What I take the time that they need. But yeah, a TV strong year. Like I know the only reason I have late bloomer in there, to be honest, because I have shows that I'm watching right now I'm not done with, and like you said at the start, we're in that run now of like great shows are coming out. I hope anyways. So like you said, The Boys season 4, the first 3 episodes just dropped yesterday. House of the Dragon back on Sunday nights. I can't wait for that season 2. Like have that Sunday HBO show again. Pumped. There's a couple other shows I'm watching that once they wrap I could include in here, but I didn't want to do that because I only wanted to include shows I've fully seen. But there's also The Bear season 3 that's coming. I think in like 2 weeks, full season drops on Disney. There's Lord of the Rings. There's another season coming soon. There's probably something else I'm forgetting. And one thing that when I do my list at the end of the year, I'm gonna have to make a decision here if I'm including animated shows or not, because that could take over a lot of spots. And I realize it doesn't matter if it's for everybody or not. It's my list, but it's kind of just a decision on if I want to include them or not. So, X-Men 97. If I choose to not do animated ones, I might not have it on there, but it's very very good. So. Because there is an anime show I'm watching right now that once it's done, it would be top 5 for me. But
oh wow,
yeah, I could just recommend it as if anyone has like it's Crunchyroll is the name of the streaming platform you'd need to watch this, the anime site, or if you have access to it via whatever another site. Kaiju number 8 is what the show is called. It's actually airing week to week right now. It's amazing. It's kind of like it's a Godzilla-esque show. Like there's these monsters that roam around Japan, and there's a elite task force that kind of takes them out as they arrive in the city. So like the world, it's kind of like we were talking in our last episode. Would you want to live in a world with a bunch of monsters roaming around? Like they're in it in this show. So, and then one of the main character ends up becoming a monster himself. So he like has the ability to become a monster and stuff. And like he is a good monster, so he fights against the big monsters. Anyways. It's amazing. The action in here is unreal, and I'm really enjoying it. Kaiju number 8. It would be top 5 once I'm done the show for sure right now.
Okay.
It's like the hot anime show right now to be watching.
Okay. I'll have to check that out though, because last year you hit me with an anime show that would have made my top 10, Blue Eye Samurai. That would have
Yeah.
made my list last year, and I only
Yep.
watched it this year, like after the fact. So I'm not gonna let that happen again. Solid, Eric.
Yeah.
I had a couple other shows too, but they're not really worth mentioning. And like they wouldn't have made my top 5, so I'm not gonna recommend them.
Yeah.
TV will be the easiest list I think we'll have to make.
You think the easiest?
I think easiest in the sense that like we'll be happy with our number 10. I think our number 10 for TV will be stronger than our 10 for. I think TV is in such a good place right now. There's so much choice and solid picks. But it is the hardest to watch. It's harder to watch a TV show than an album or a movie, right? So it's more time consuming. So the grind is harder. But I've never done better on grinding TV shows, so should be a fun list to make.
Yeah, I think rounding out a list is gonna be tough though for TV. Like, especially like I said, if I'm including animated shows in there, it might be a bit trickier. But
True.
we'll see. Yeah, I think there's a lot of good options to choose from, which I love for TV this year. So
Yeah.
Unfortunately, True Detective season 4 Night County did not make the cut. But who knows? Maybe on rewatch.
That was pretty rough.
Yeah,
That was pretty rough. Yeah.
no love for Gail Clevin. I thought they would maybe sneak into the top 5 spots.
No. Nah, I couldn't do it. Do you want to rip your list quickly?
Yeah, sure. So, Late Bloomer season 1, Fallout season 1. What is that? Bad Batch season 3, Mr. and Mrs. Smith season 1, X-Men 97 season 1. So a lot of inaugural seasons on here for both of us, actually.
Yeah, I only have season 1. Yeah, I followed season 1, The Gentleman, Baby Reindeer, Ripley, and Shogun. Yeah.
I mean, I think we'll have maybe a few season 2s and 3s once everything's out. Maybe even a 4 if The Boys season 4 is good. So I'm going to start that soon, I would think. So, no, good spot for TV. Acolyte season 1, once that wraps, who knows where that ends up. Yeah.
I watched that Benedict Cumberbatch show on Netflix, Eric.
Eric, yeah. How was it?
Very disappointing,
Okay.
honestly. Only watch it if you want to see. It's good to watch only if you're a Benedict Cumberbatch completist mega fan, because he puts on an acting clinic. He's amazing in it, but the show was disappointing in the end.
Okay.
So only watch it if you love Cumberbatch.
It's for the power of the dogs, the wonderful story of Henry Sugars. Those fans out there, like the Eric is there for you.
Well said. Yeah.
Right on. I feel like we've recommended a ton of stuff for people. I'm trying to think if I have anything else like that's unrelated to this to recommend. I started a book that I got for my birthday, The 3-Body Problem. I don't know if you've heard of this, Matt. The creators of Game of Thrones actually made a series out of this, a TV show out of this book series. It's on Netflix original.
Yeah.
But I don't
Yeah.
think the show is that good. But the book so far, I'm only like 50 or so pages in. Enjoying it so far. Like, it's a lot of mystery right now, like setting up the world. Like, it's tough to do with sci-fi. You always got to kind of set the scene. You're a bit lost at first, but enjoying it so far. Hopefully it ends well and can keep going with the series. That's kind of my goal here, is to find a new series and then just go off. So yeah, 3-Body Problem. Check it out. The book.
I think my mom's watched it. She said it was cool, but she didn't do a good job convincing me, I guess, because I didn't watch it. So I'm trying to look at my list now. Yeah, a lot of duds, actually. Like, The Last Airbender on Netflix, big dud.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I'm, like, a big fan of the anime.
Live
Masters of the Air, a mini dud, because it could have been better. Oh, the other show I watched, Eric, super quick, watched it in one afternoon, Tales from the Empire. You know, the
nice.
Tales from the Jedi accompaniment.
Yep.
It was enjoyable.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if you watched it. I like the two different characters we followed. Super easy to watch. Like, there's some episodes that are like 13 minutes long. It's 6 episodes, I think, too. So Tales from the Empire.
I watched the first episode. I think I was doing something else at the same time, so I didn't really watch the entire episode. It was with them. What's her face there? Morgan Elsbeth. Yeah. So I saw that one. Wasn't hooked, but I do want to go back and finish that because I did love Tales of the Jedi. I thought it was really good. So Hopefully, there's some Grievous in there. Like, I want to see the story. I want to see honestly is Grievous before he becomes a robot. Like, I want to see him become the
Yeah,
robot. I don't know if that's what you were gonna say too, but like I know
for
for a
sure.
fact he was like some sort of different species that eventually became like a I don't know like a robot. I guess so. I want to see that, but maybe Tales of the Jedi season 2. Who knows? Tales of the Empire season 2. There's also a couple of submissions I forgot to say. So, Klasin, former guest, she said that she's currently watching Blacklist, which is a great show. So, I don't think that's still a 2024 show, but still like a nice recommendation to throw in there. And she's also stoked for the new Kaleo album. Can't speak too much to the Kaleo, but I know of Blacklist. Have you seen it or heard of Kaleo? Or
I don't know who Kaleo is. No, I've heard the Blacklist is great, and like there's a ton of seasons, and it's
10?
got
Yeah.
a big following. And I just remember watching the first few episodes back in the day when it aired on TV. But James Spader, solid actor, can't go wrong.
Yep.
So
Old reliable. And then we also got a submission from the homie Ron Antoine. So he said that Ted Lasso still in rotation, itching for that fourth season, and he's hoping for a Swifty Kelsey duet. I'm not sure if that would be in in Ted Lasso or not. If that's just a separate request, but he wants to see it. So we'll see. Anything is possible, right?
yeah,
Um,
though.
I wonder where the Ted Lasso people go from here. Like, do you think Nate is gonna get cast in anything? Is my question. I feel like he's kind of like pigeonholed into that dweeb role.
It's tough when you're on a hit show like that as that character. Absolutely. Look at Jim Parsons. Like
Mm,
he can't be cast in anything else.
yeah,
Yeah. Good recommendation though for TV.
yeah, for sure. Like Leslie Higgins, the guy's a single character. Like he cannot play like a tough guy or like a mob
No.
boss. Like you're not casting him in the. Actually, it's another other show I'm looking forward to, The Penguin, which will be out in September.
Yes.
So that should be another
For sure.
hopefully a good contender for show the Sodi show of the year as they say. So yeah, a lot of good stuff coming. But that's kind of all. Those are our submissions. So thanks everybody for the recommendations and
Yeah.
your picks.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. Before you said the Penguin, Ted, oh yeah, the guy who plays Leslie Higgins. That guy's probably in a million movies. Eric always has the same type of character, but he's got one of those faces. You need like a John Goodman face. You know, he needs to be one of the side characters. I bet you he's in a ton of movies.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
That just made me think. I have one more thing to recommend. I watched this last night. Chef, written and directed and starring
Oh.
Jean Favreau. Great movie. Like all time, feel good. Like there's some relatable stuff in there. Again, with like being a kid to like it just and then being a I mean not relatable for me there, but being a dad and like following your dreams, like working for someone that you don't necessarily believe in, and then given the opportunity to do your own thing, like venture out and follow your heart, kind of thing, and just incredible looking food in there. Like this, don't watch this when you're hungry because it'll make you regret that you don't have the ability to eat food that good, and don't eat while you're watching because then you're gonna be disgusted at the grilled cheese that you're eating compared to the grilled cheese that he made in this movie. So amazing movie is a stretch there, but it's definitely like a good movie, good vibes, uplifting, and like it's a feel good movie for sure. And there's something like just intrinsically satisfying about watching people make food in like either a YouTube video or a movie or a show. Like I love when they zoom in on food. It's almost like
Yeah.
sensual, and it just works. And there's a lot of that in this movie. So prepare to be excited by the the food you see in there. So no, Chef, it's on Netflix. Check it out. Great stuff.
Man, my mom is an avid listener of this podcast, and she loves this movie, and I haven't seen it yet. She's gonna
Nice.
shoot me. She's gonna text me as soon as she hears this.
It's cool.
She even bought the movie. I remember when she bought the movie. I'm like, I don't want to watch this chef movie. What the hell is that? I hear great things about Chef all the time. There's just a blind spot for me. Just never sat down and watched it. You say it's on Netflix. I'm gonna remedy that and watch it before this episode drops.
Yeah,
and
there
I
you
get
go.
yelled at by my mom.
Nice
So,
weekend watch.
yeah, good call, Eric. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
After the hockey tomorrow, watch. After the cup gets lifted tomorrow, maybe I'll throw on Chef late night.
It's a wrap. I should have cashed out on my Oilers bet when I had the chance, but
Ah,
it's too bad.
disappointing.
Florida's
Yeah,
the better team. They're overall, it's a wagon of a hockey
yeah,
club.
yeah,
So hate
yeah.
to
That's
end the
all I
pod
got.
on that note, but Chef, feel good. If you want to feel good, watch Chef. So maybe the Oilers should get in on that. Just throw Chef on. Maybe that's what they did today. Getting the better mindset. Um, and yeah, so a lot of actors you'll recognize in there. It's like a cameo city. It was a fun watch. So
Sweet.
yeah, I mean that's all for me as well. So hope yeah, anyway, great fun doing all these lists, Matt. Interesting to see like how different our lists look at the end of the year compared to what we did
Yeah.
in this one. So any final notes for the listeners?
Yeah, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you for your submissions. Eric, I love doing this episode with you. It was really fun. A mini top fives of the three things we do at the end of the year. Really enjoyed talking about all that with you. And I hope everyone's enjoying their summer right now. And we'll catch you next time. Thank you.
Well said, Matt. So yeah, thanks a lot everybody for listening. Stay tuned for episodes dropping every 2 Mondays. Continue to enjoy your summer and love you all, and yeah, peace.